You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Greetings, travelers. You're about to enter the world of episode 46 of the Soul Forge podcast.
Welcome to the Soul Forge, a place of silent mystery, quiet contemplation, and outright mayhem. Join your host, Sean Vanderloo, as he guides you through the adventures of living. Together, we'll talk about life and love, sex and dating, joy and heartache, memories and loss, and so much more. Don't worry, it's not nearly as pretentious as it sounds. Get ready for life, the universe, and everything on the Soul Forge.
So as you know, I am your host, Sean Vanderloo, and I'm here to provide you with all kinds of righteous information, fantastic theories, all kinds of different things. This week, I sat down for a conversation with my friend Tracy, and we explored the concept of what comes next. So we're all living our lives. We've got jobs, houses, friends, family, whatever we have. We all have various combinations of these different things. But what else is there? That's what we really want to know. And how did we get to this topic? Well, today I was at work and talking to my coworker and my friend Denise. She passed by while I was sorting the mail and she says, "Hey, you know what? I was on my treadmill today and my mind blanked out and I just thought to myself, okay, so I've done some house renovations, got my job, got my family, I'm with a man that I want to be with. What else is there? What comes next?" And I said, you know what? This could be a really in-depth, deep conversation. I was going to have coffee with my friend Tracy, and we had been talking about doing a podcast together for quite some time, and so this is going to be the result. Also, as you're aware, I've recently joined the ESO, or Earth Station 1 podcast network. In the body of this episode, you're going to hear a preview or a promo for one of the podcasts on the network. That's what being part of a network entails. We all help promote each other on the network through our own shows by playing promos and sometimes interviewing podcast hosts. So this week I'm going to play a promo, and maybe you'd like to check out the show. Without further ado, here is episode 46, conversation that you'll hear in progress with my friend Tracy. You may hear some dogs and whatnot in the background. I did go to her house and the dogs escaped where they were being contained, so you may hear some barking and some clicking of the claws on the flooring, whatever. It's not too distracting. It should be okay. I should be able to edit most of that out. But anyway, I hope you enjoy, and here it is. So we'll have a conversation. We'll pretend the microphone's not even there, because it's not.
It's not.
And what I wanted to discuss is Denise at work came up to me while I was sorting my mail this morning, and she said, this past weekend I was on my treadmill, and I just zoned out, and I started thinking, I'm happy. My house is undergoing renovations, and we're almost done.
Mm-hmm.
My job's fine. My health is good. What else is there? And I sat on my desk, paused my sorting, and I said, you know what? I don't know. What else could there be? Because this past weekend, we had the Northern Ontario Expo Timmins Comic Con,
Yeah.
and I had a booth, and I sold a bunch of my collectibles, made some money, didn't sell everything, but I did okay.
Good.
And I thought, what am I going to do with this money? Well, I don't collect things anymore, so
Sure.
Pay off some credit cards, bills.
That would be a
Maybe.
mature choice.
It would be. Maybe buy some shoes for work,
Ooh, yeah.
because we do get a shoe allowance,
Yes.
but it's not very much.
And I'm sure you go through more shoes than with the allowance.
Yeah, I think we get, $140 every 6 months. But it's called the boot and glove allowance.
Right.
But a decent pair of shoes costs more than $140.
Yeah. And that's just one pair.
Right.
So that's not including any boots or gloves you might need.
True. And since we do, about 22,000 steps a day, we go through shoes.
Yeah.
We need about a new pair of shoes every 3 months on average.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
I usually go beyond that, and they're falling apart, and my toes are falling out the edges. But
So now you have money for shoes.
now I have money for shoes.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's okay. But I was like, you know what, Denise, you're right. What else is there? Is this all there is? Like, what more is there to life? Like she said, I'm paying off my bills. I'm putting money away for traveling, but that's for later when I'm retired. And I'm like,
So, did she say this as in like there feels like something's missing kind of question?
Kind of. Like she wasn't 100% sure. Like there should be more to life. Is this all there is? What else is there?
I have a few different opinions actually on that. And the first one being is that if you're sitting there thinking, what else is there? Well, are you really happy?
Ah, right. Because if you were happy, you'd be content. And you
And
wouldn't
not looking for something else.
something else, right.
Yeah. But it's obviously a little more complicated than that. And there's so many aspects of life. But then kind of on the complete opposite end, I think that people who actually can get to that point and say that they're happy with, multiple aspects of their life, and they are looking for something else, that's kind of when you get unhappy because
you're looking for the more.
Right. You're not appreciating maybe what you already have, perhaps, and that's why, or I shouldn't say that's why, it's just an opinion, that could be why people end up unhappy in life, is because they're always looking for more and always wanting more, always looking for this feeling of contentment or even enlightenment, some might say, where how many people can actually achieve that, where things are going great, and can we just be happy with that?
But we're always looking over the hill to see what's next.
Right. Yeah.
And
something better, something bigger, something more expensive or prettier.
And that's where people get into trouble. And the whole expression, the grass is greener on the other side. No, it's not. It's greener where you water it. So focus on your own crap first.
I love that saying, actually, that the grass is greener where it gets watered.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's, if you've listened to previous episodes of Soulforge, I've often looked at the other grass and thought, why can't that be my grass? And it's led me astray, into trouble. And so I'm trying to water my own grass these days.
Good. That's why you're doing this podcast, right?
That's part of the reason behind the whole podcast. Yes, to share my experiences, self-therapy, having chats with people like you to get different opinions on things.
Yeah. I just, things aren't always quite that simple. The grass is greener where it gets watered, or on the other side, or whatever your belief is. Because even if I water my own grass, it's not always super green.
Right.
But
it could be greener. You could use more fertilizer, less water sometimes, more water another.
Yeah. So, you may need a different mixture between water and fertilizer and sun and whatnot. But
you just never know.
Right.
And it's an experiment. It takes time and takes a certain amount of effort to find all the variables. Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people just expect to be happy and don't expect to have to put work into it.
That's right, because they'll look at other people's lives and they don't know what goes on behind the scenes. They just see this happy person. I'm like, oh, that person has all their crap together and they must be super thrilled. They've got a fancy house and a nice car and a beautiful wife or a gorgeous husband and 2 well-behaved kids and whatever. But they don't see that, oh, actually the house is falling apart on the inside, the foundation's cracked. That guy's wife has been cheating on him for 6 years.
It's not always as it seems.
There's $25,000 in credit card debt. They can't actually afford the house or the car.
Yeah, definitely. And I think these days with social media, that's only enhanced, because most people don't put their crap on Facebook, and whether that's good or bad, that's some people have views on that. I don't think it's all good to only put happy things, because then it's not a true reflection. Well, but at the same time, you don't want to be talking about family members and things. on
there's,
Facebook?
There's a bit of a mix, I find. But for the most part, yeah, you're going to put on your fancy trip that you went on,
Right.
The new car that you bought, your kid's new stroller, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You show all the good
All
stuff.
the happy moments.
You don't take a picture. Hey, look at this! I've got a crack in my foundation. I'm going to have to spend $500 to fix this thing, or not $500, whatever it costs to fix a foundation.
Yeah.
But you don't put that for the most part. But there are some people who do.
There are, but for the most part, you're right. Or, they'll put so many, and one popular thing is to put pictures of your meals. Well, what about the meal you spent 2 hours making and it ended up being burned or didn't taste good because, the recipe didn't turn out or whatever. So there's all those things to consider when you're scrolling through.
Well, yeah, this is what we're having tonight. It's burnt meatloaf, sticky rice, and I forgot to go pick up milk and juice, so we're having water.
Yeah.
And it's gross, but this is what I made tonight.
This is what we gotta eat.
This is what we got. We didn't do groceries, and everything's burnt, and it's the end of our pay week.
Right.
So we get paid tomorrow, but this is what we're having tonight. Nobody puts that.
No, of course not.
So.
Of course not. That would be fantastic if they did, but...
Look at this fantastic picture of my car that got smashed in today. Look at the scratches, the way it works. It looks like a face. No, nobody does that, right? So...
Yeah, you have to take that into consideration when thinking about others and how their life might be better.
Exactly.
You're not seeing the true picture or the whole picture.
No, so you're looking on the outside, seeing what they want to show you, the good stuff. So focus on your own stuff, and maybe there's somebody out there looking at your Facebook saying, "Wow, I wish I had that."
Yeah,
and you on the inside don't feel that way at all.
Yeah,
this is such a crap ass life, and the other person's like, "Wow, look at that, I want it."
Yeah.
So.
Because when you think about those, you probably have certain people you kind of wish that you had their life or their body or their husband or whatever.
Like for instance, my doctor. I went and saw him when I was off for a couple weeks there, and that's a handsome man. I don't know if you know who Dr. Cote is.
Yeah, I've heard of Dr. Cote
You've heard
for
of him.
that particular reason.
Right, and he's just a guy. He's my age.
Yeah.
And when I have to go to talk to him, I get nervous because he's a good-looking guy, and he's tall, and he's got a full head of hair, and he's got all this education, and I'm like, wow, I want to be that guy.
And he's a doctor.
He's a doctor, so he's smart.
Yeah.
And I went to university, and I'm tall. I don't have a full head of hair. I don't have his kind of money,
But is his life better than yours?
Probably. But who knows?
The answer I was expecting.
No, it's not any better or any worse than anybody else's life, but you know what I mean. Like,
yes.
I go to the doctor's office and I have to talk to him, and I'm like, I'm kind of nervous and I don't know why. He's my man crush, I guess.
So.
I don't know.
Sean has a man crush.
Who knew? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news here on episode 46 of the Soul Forge podcast. Sean has a man crush.
On Dr. Cote.
On Dr. Cote.
Nice.
Yeah. But not really. It's just he makes me nervous for some reason. And I don't know why. I look at him and I say, hey, there's a guy who's got his life together. He's got a nice big fancy house in an exclusive area of town. I know this because I'm a mailman and I've delivered there before. He's got all his hair. He can look at a doctor chart and know exactly what he's talking about because he's got that training, So.
But maybe his life at home is falling apart. Maybe he hates all the hours he has to put in for his job.
It could be. You don't know. You see the one aspect.
Right.
I
the
see him.
good-lookingness.
Right. He's a handsome man. That's true. I don't even remember what my point about this was now.
I don't know. The point is that he's handsome, but it doesn't mean his life is better.
Yes, I think that's the point.
Okay.
Yes, that sounds like a very good point that we just made here.
Yes, great job, Sean.
Thanks. I do what I can. So yeah. So, what else can we say? Is this all there is? What else is there? I think you brought up the fact that there's spirituality that people sometimes seek out. They have a relationship with a higher power, with God, whatever, because they need more than what they have.
Yeah.
so they turn to it for a coping mechanism, maybe, or sometimes they turn to drugs and alcohol, or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's definitely common in our neck of the woods in particular, I think.
Up here in the north?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, because who was I talking to the other day? We had the expo, and I was talking to a guy who came up from Oshawa,
Mm-hmm.
which is what, like 8 or 10 hours away from here?
Something like that. It's on the other side of Toronto anyway.
Right, so it's far away. It's down south. It's where all the culture is. And I mentioned that, yeah, I've been in Timmins for about 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, really, eh? What brought you up here? I'm like, oh, a girl. And he's like, well, how do you like it up here? I'm like, Timmins is the land that culture forgot. So you have to seek things to make yourself happy.
Yes, for sure.
So started podcasting.
Right, that's a great idea.
That's part of it. Make my own culture.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Spirituality is I think kind of on the rise these days, because people are more self-aware and of what they might want or need, or to give them that feeling of like I mentioned earlier, enlightenment or happiness or whatever. So of course along with that you've got the yoga and that type of stuff.
The Reiki
and Reiki,
Shiatsu, and I think that's a thing.
Yeah.
But
I think so.
It's like the evolution of the human consciousness. We're all getting slightly raised up higher.
Yes, we're getting there.
Because they do say the universe, or we are the universe,
Mm-hmm.
made self-aware to look at ourselves and understand better, right?
Yeah.
It's more profound than that, and I kind of messed it up, but you get what I'm saying.
I think so.
There's a quote out there that would say it better, but I
That's
can't.
something similar.
Yeah, and I can't think of it right now, but
yeah,
and that's why you see all this stuff. We just had the Timmins Holistic Healing Fair 2 weekends ago.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go to this one.
Yeah, I didn't make it either.
I went to the one last year.
Okay.
And it was fine.
Yeah.
People doing their crystals and all kinds of different things like that.
Yeah.
Reiki and stuff. And it's all an attempt to get to that next level.
Mm-hmm.
To look for that something more that we're all missing.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. We're all spiritually bankrupt, maybe. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but we all need that next thing.
Yeah.
And lots of people just spend money on stuff.
Yeah.
I used to do that. Why do you think I have such a massive collection of Star Trek and Star Wars memorabilia? Because I needed to buy stuff to fill the hole in my heart or my soul or whatever. And I used to go there, I'd buy the action figure, and I'd get this immediate feeling of euphoria.
Yeah.
But after 5 minutes, it was gone. And it was just another thing to add to the pile in the collection, right?
So in the moment, it was great and it made you feel better, but there was no long-term benefit.
It was not long lasting.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So in the last 2 or 3 years, I guess I've been following all that Zen stuff. We're starting to. Yeah, I got the book Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Oh. It's a book from the 70s. I haven't read it yet.
That's both an interesting title and interesting that it's from the 70s.
I think it's from the 70s. You never heard of it?
No.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
It's, how does it go? I think I read the first chapter, and it's a guy who travels across the country and finds Zen-like moments as he travels. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I really got to get back to that book.
That sounds pretty neat.
Hello, Questers. This is Mandy, the host of Casterquest, inviting you to enjoy our podcast where we explore the rich and vibrant world of Patrick Rothfuss's best-selling fantasy series, The Kingkiller Chronicle, soon to be adapted as a major motion picture and television show produced by the award-winning creator of Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda. Hungry for more content? Perhaps you will enjoy our recaps of HBO's Game of Thrones, Over the Garden Wall, animated Batman films, or our world-famous erotic fanfiction reads. Whatever you're in the mood for, if you love a good story, humor, impromptu parody songs, and thousands of pop culture references, you'll enjoy our show. You can find Casterquest on SoundCloud, iTunes, and of course, our amazing network, the Earth Station One Network, at esopodcast.com.
And other books that I've gotten, I think The Art of Imperfection
Okay.
which was interesting. It's about not having to be perfect, just being happy with who you are.
Mm-hmm.
I got Hardcore Zen, which was written by some music guy.
Hardcore Zen.
Hardcore Zen, yeah.
That seems kind of like an oxymoron.
A little bit, yeah.
Maybe that's why they chose it.
I think so. And actually, you lent me some books, like Eckhart Tolle and Robin Sharma was the guy's name, I think.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't even recall.
I think I still have them in my house
Oh,
somewhere.
okay.
Yeah, I'll have to get those back to you one of these days. But yeah, like everybody's following Eckhart Tolle.
Yes. Yeah.
There's all
What
kind.
did you think of his books? Or a book? I can't remember if I lent you both or just the one.
I think I just read the one.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of profound statements in it. It was almost every once in a while I'd find a phrase and I wanted to highlight it and say that would make a great tattoo on my forearm. You know.
Wow.
There was lots of that kind of
It
stuff.
must have really stuck out if you wanted to tattoo it on your body.
Yes.
Interesting.
However, now I can't remember what any of those phrases are because it's been 2 years since I read the books. But
maybe they weren't that profound after all.
they were profound in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the thing I find too, being in the now.
Yes.
They always talk about being in the now, and it's always now.
Yeah.
But I always feel, or not always, but sometimes I feel like I'm not experiencing that particular moment in all of its glory. Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense, and I think that that's something to strive for sure. Because they say, you know, another way of putting that would be mindfulness, being mindful of where you are and who you're with and what you're doing, and pay attention to that rather than, you know, everybody gets lost in their own head. But I don't know what else I was going to say. Oh my goodness.
Well, it's like having a conversation like we are right now, but if one of us was on our phone texting somebody else, our attention is divided.
Yes.
And we're not in the now. We're not there or here.
Right.
We're kind of in a, and here's a fancy English term that I learned back in university, a liminal space.
Liminal?
Liminal.
Okay.
It's like neither here nor there. It's not really anywhere.
I like it.
I think I'm using it properly. It's been 20 odd years since I learned the phrase, but
Maybe we'll have to look it up after.
got to use those $40,000 words when the opportunity arises, right?
Yes.
So there's that.
Definitely.
But yeah,
Definitely.
so yeah, we're talking. We're having a great conversation. We're learning about stuff. We're trying to impart our half-assed wisdom to our listeners.
Is it even half-assed? Is it?
I think so.
Okay.
No,
Alright.
I try to be profound, but not, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't think the word is pedantic. Pretentious.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
See, the fact that I know the word pedantic, or pedantic.
Yeah, I don't know what that word is,
That-
but I do know pretentious.
Yes. Being pedantic is being pretentious.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like a know-it-all.
Oh, right.
You're so pedantic.
Yes.
Or pedantic. I don't even know how you say it, so I'm not that, but
Right.
You know.
You're just humbly offering your view in a way as not to push it onto others.
exactly. It's a conversational style, hoping to impart some wisdom or knowledge or profundity to whoever may be listening.
I like that one too.
Not bad, right?
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Profundity.
Profundity.
Good.
I think that's a word.
Maybe.
I'm pretty
Is
sure.
it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's the act
okay,
of-
I thought you were
it's-
totally joking.
No, it's the act of being profound.
Okay.
Yeah. Although there was a time I did make up a word.
Oh.
Pathetiosity.
Was this intentional?
Yeah, because
Okay.
it sounds like it should be a word. It's like your level of patheticness.
Say it again.
Pathetiosity. Your pathetiosity knows no bounds.
Okay.
Or you could just say patheticness. But pathetiosity sounds highfalutin.
Pathetiosity is way better
Right?
than patheticness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that you should write a letter to Webster's.
Okay.
They still make dictionaries.
I think they still make dictionaries.
Yeah. And ask them to put it in there.
I should do that.
Maybe we could petition on Facebook.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Get people to, sign some sort of petition and
Yeah.
send it in. See if they'll put it in there.
I've got a funny story about a petition.
All right. I'm listening.
Okay, so back in university, me and a couple buddies were in the lounge doing a research project.
Okay.
And these other people who we didn't know came up and asked us to sign their petition.
Okay.
And so we said, yeah, I'm sure we could do that. What's it about? And they said, well, we don't know yet. We're just getting signatures.
And these were universities?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we didn't
Was
sign
it
their
for like a statistics course?
Not a clue. They didn't really say.
Wow.
So we didn't sign the petition.
No, I don't
'Cause
blame you.
It sounded ridiculous.
Yeah.
But we laughed after they left.
Yeah, it's a good story.
Yeah,
It's a funny
not
story.
bad, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Good job.
Yeah. So, is there anything else we should impart about our wisdom? You wrote down a few notes.
I did write down a couple things. One thing that I think I touched on it a little bit, is when I just said to enjoy being happy. And you talked about enjoying the moment and being in the moment and enjoying what you do have rather than looking for happiness somewhere else. And that is kind of a life trick that I've also read in books and whatnot.
Your dogs are going crazy.
Are they ever? There must be a dog outside.
I'm not sure if the microphone is picking that up.
I don't know.
But because I was listening to the dog, I was not in the now, and I missed what you said.
Well, you're gonna have to play it back, and I'm not saying it again, Sean.
Really?
No.
That's sad.
No.
Oh.
I will continue.
Okay.
One other thing that I wanted to touch on is, if you are kind of in that point in your life and looking for something more, we talk about spirituality quite a bit, and you touched on hobbies, about collecting and things like that. That's one thing I was going to say is, what are your interests and what are your hobbies, or if you don't currently have something, what's something you've always wanted to try or always wanted to do, or
what's holding you back?
Maybe you don't know how to swim and you'd like to learn, and those kinds of things. Last year I tried crocheting for the first time.
Really?
Yeah, and
how was that?
It was better than I thought. It was a little tricky because I just learned by myself through YouTube and stuff.
Okay.
But once I got the hang of it, I think I did okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I've since stopped knitting, so I knit or crocheting. I did it for about 6 months, and then
that was enough of that.
Yeah, I'll probably pick it up again here and there, but
not something you're passionate about.
Obviously.
But you tried it.
Yeah. And I kind of enjoyed it. So
that's good. And similar to me, the year of 2015 was my year of trying new things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I tried playing D&D with a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
Because I'd never done it. I started reading comic books.
Nice.
There was a few other things that I started that year too, which I cannot remember now. But I remember in 2015 I started a whole bunch of new things.
Great.
And if you listen to the Rusted Robot podcast from that era,
from back then,
yeah, it would be talked about
ages ago.
Some of those episodes. Yeah. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, so I think that's another thing that I would offer to people who are in that situation. Saying, what else is there, would be to maybe pick up some new hobbies or really invest in your interests a little bit more.
Try something you've always wanted to try, because what's holding you back?
Right.
Absolutely nothing.
Right.
Right.
Well, 10 years ago, at the age of 30, I wanted to do that, and I chose running.
Oh.
Yeah, and about 8 months after, I'm not sure exactly the amount of months, 6 to 8 months later, I ran my first half marathon.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
So that was something that I had kind of, it was, that type of thing. I'm turning 30, what can I do that's gonna, be beneficial to me in my entire life? So I tried it, and I really enjoyed it, and I continued to run for a few years and did a few half marathons.
Right on.
Yeah.
You don't run anymore?
I don't currently run. I would like to get back into it. That is a goal of mine, but I'm not running right now.
Okay.
So maybe in the next couple weeks I'll give it a go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
The snow's finally melted, so now is a good time to get back into it.
Yeah.
And you, dear listeners, if there's something that's holding you back, springtime is a great time to start.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. It feels like new and fresh.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah.
So I think, unless there's anything else you wanted to bring up, this has been an excellent episode of the Soul Forge podcast. A little bit rambly, and we've talked about all kinds of different things, but basically, we're talking about, what else is there? Anything you want.
Yeah, I like that.
So there you go. So Tracy, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Is there any social media thing that you would like to promote? Are you on Twitter?
I am not on Twitter.
You're not on the Twitters.
Not on the Twitters. I am
like,
on Facebook.
You're on Facebook.
Yeah.
You want people to follow you on Facebook, or no?
If they want to, that's fine with me. I have no objections.
All right. And what about Instagram?
I am on Instagram.
What is your handle?
I couldn't tell you at the moment.
Okay.
I will have to get back to you with that.
I will put that in the show notes.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Thank you once again.
You're welcome.
So wasn't that a fantastic conversation? Tracy's a very smart lady. She is a deep thinker. I've known her about 4 years or so now. Met her when she joined our crew at the post office. She's since gone on to bigger and better things, but I'm glad I got to meet her, and we've kept in touch, and we run into each other every once in a while because she actually works on my route in one of the office buildings, and we get together from time to time for coffee, and this time we had a great conversation, so you may hear her again in the future. I hope you learned something. I hope you got philosophically stimulated, and really I just hope you enjoy it. And hope you share the podcast with anybody you think needs to hear it. So anyway, that's all I've got for this week. Next week is episode 47. I've got 2 possible ideas. They're both very exciting. Stay tuned next week for that. Until then, keep forging your soul. Leave a 5-star review in the iTunes store or the podcatcher of your choice. Oh, one thing I forgot to tell you guys. You like listening to podcasts but don't find you have enough time? Subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can listen to all the SoulForge podcasts there. Also, all the Rusted Robot podcasts since, I believe, episode 153 or something. We're now in the 190s. So just go look up Sean Vanderloo. That's me. That's what the channel is named under. I need more subscribers so I can give it a funky title. Until then, take care, and remember, sometimes you just need to get out of your own way. This has been another episode of the SoulForge Podcast. Contact the show by emailing soulforgepodcast@gmail.com or by tweeting SoulForgePod on Twitter. Visit us at soulforgepodcast.com, and remember, the best way to show your support is by leaving a 5-star review in the iTunes store. And, if you would, please check us out and like us on Facebook. The SoulForge Podcast was written, produced, scored, edited, engineered, and directed by Sean Vanderloo. Find me on Twitter and Instagram at Darth Vaderloo. For more great content, you can listen to my other podcast, The Rusted Robot. Thanks for stopping by the Forge. We'll keep the fires lit until your next visit.
I could do this all day.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping through Amazon.com or the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.